Okay, you have the San Francisco 49ers predictions. So San Francisco, I think they have a talented team. They still have Nick Bosa on defense, Fred Warner. They got Ward and drafted a couple cornerbacks. So they filled their biggest weakness on defense. And on offense, offensive line I think could be shaky this year. I wish they addressed it slightly more. The wide receivers is good, still good as long as Debo stays. They obviously have George Kittle. And I think the huge how well their season goes depends on Trey Lance. You got your first game versus Chicago. Luckily, it's their first game, so home field advantage not so much. And Chicago, I think they're in a total rebuild right now. They did not help Justin Fields at all, so I'm going to take 49ers. Then you have them versus Seattle. Seattle's another rebuilding team, so kind of easy for Trey Lance starting off two building teams. And Seahawks is a divisional rival, so tough game. Still, I have San Francisco. Then you have them versus the Broncos. Broncos, they're a tough team. They got Russell Wilson, and he does well against the 49ers. I think Russell Wilson swept them last year, and they play in Mile High Stadium. Broncos have just as stacked the team as 49ers, and I'll take Russell Wilson over Trey Lance any day. So I'll take the Denver Broncos. You have them versus the Rams. San Francisco does well against the Rams. They only lost them against the playoffs last year, so I think they're going to continue to do well. It's on a Monday night. And Rams are definitely a tough team. They have good defense, good offense. I already made a video on them. And still, I think 49ers are going to prevail through because of Shanahan's scheme. Then you have them versus the Panthers. I think Panthers are definitely another rebuilding team. They do have some talent on offense and defense, but their coach is not good. Matt Rule, I think he's still with the team. Did they retain him? I don't remember. But their team's just not that good. I think 49ers. Then you have them against the Falcons, another rebuild team. They have they have a very soft schedule at first. So I'm going to take the 49ers. Atlanta, they don't really have much talent. I have to take San Fran. Then you have your first difficult team in Kansas City. I just don't think Trey Lance will be up for it. Kansas City, they got slightly worse. They did lose Tyreek Hill and a couple of the corners, but they had a really good draft their corner and a linebacker to help the defense, and their offense is just as explosive since they got like Sky Moore. I just don't think Trey Lance is ready. Their team can help them stay in it. But I don't think Trey Lance will get them on their last second scoring drive. So I'm gonna take the. Then you have them against the Rams. I think the Rams are finally gonna split with the 49ers and coming off a bye, and I'm gonna take the Rams. Then you have them versus the Chargers. San Francisco coming off a bye, and the Chargers they're good, but they do tend to choke games they should win. And San Francisco Chargers are still a good team. They got Khalil Mack, J.C. Jackson, another well-rounded team. So they have three hard teams. Luckily for their bye, so I'm gonna take the 49ers. Then you have 49ers versus Cardinals. Strangely enough, the Cardinals actually do well against the 49ers. And Cardinals, at this point, I think they'll have Hopkins back. They still have Kyler Murray, and their defense, I don't think it's that great, but good enough to help contain Trey Lance. And it's a divisional rival game, so anything can happen. I'm going to take the Cardinals. Then you have game against the Saints. Saints defense is going to be tough. I expect a low-scoring defensive game for this. Saints definitely have some talent, especially on defense. They have Jordan, Lattimore, Marcus May, the new safety, and their offense they have Jameis Winston. They're getting MT back. They got Juice, Jarvis Landry, and they got Alvin Kamara. So definitely watch out for the Saints. But I think San Francisco, even if Trey Lance doesn't do well, I think I like Trey Lance in this situation, so I'm going to take San Francisco. Then you have them against Miami. Normally I take Miami, but they're on a road trip this time across the West Coast. I think Miami's aggressive defense will cause problems for Lance. But I feel like Miami's offense after traveling all that way won't do well, and I'll take San Fran. So after back-to-back weeks, they get them against the Buccaneers. Buccaneers, they're not easy. They have a very stout defense. They did lose Bruce Arians. I forgot to mention that the last couple of times, but they do have Bruce Arians. That's gonna drop. They did lose him, and they do have Todd Bowles. He's a good DC head coach. I don't know, but they still have Tom Brady on offense, and I take Tom Brady pretty much. Then you have the Seattle Seahawks. Like I said, Seattle, they swept San Francisco last year, and even though they're rebuilding, it's late in the year, they figure themselves out. And it's a divisional game, super hard, but I think they're going to split, so I'm going to take the Seahawks. Then you have the Week 16 versus the Washington football team. Washington football team, I don't think they're that good this year. Their defensive line is good. Their defense is good. They do have Kendall Fuller and a good safety tandem, and I think their linebackers are kind of their weak spot, but it's their offense though. Wentz, I don't think he's gonna do too well. Their offensive line is decent. Their wide receivers are decent. Tight end is decent. They have an okay offense, but need better than okay the 49ers. And Trey Lance at this point will probably either do well or not great, depends. Then you have them versus the Raiders. Raiders are definitely a tough team. They don't have to travel far, but Raiders are a tough team. And Raiders, like 49ers, are probably looking for a wild card spot. So this is going to be, I think, an underrated game. And I'm just going to take the Raiders because they have the home field advantage. And you have a Week 18, I think another very important game. I think both Cardinals and 49ers will be in the wild card hunt. And this place, as who is a divisional game, really hard to predict. Team doesn't really matter. I do think San Francisco's team is better, and Cardinals did beat them the first time, so I'm gonna take the San Francisco 49ers. So in the end, I have the 49ers going 10-7, 3-2 in the division, 8-4 in the conference, 7-2 at home, and 3-5 away. And yeah, I have them going 10-7. And there you have my San Francisco 49ers record prediction.